when you have to laugh at yourself. Listen, we were having a whole conversation, y'all. And guess what? Y'all wasn't there because I didn't hit live, right? And I'm so grateful for this amazingly beautiful soul who's just rocking out with me, and able to laugh with me. Listen, I am super. Now in my life, I'm just free to be me and I'm okay with it. And we are sitting here, we were having a whole conversation. I'm like, Mom, that's good, that's good, that's good. But guess what? Y'all wasn't getting it. So now we starting over. So, with that, welcome to another episode of Terry Talks Podcast, where we talk on Tuesdays with real people with regards to, or we converse with real people about real challenges and solutions and real estate investing. And this is our Created for More series, another episode of our Created for More series. But the overarching theme is building you in order to build wealth. I was sharing that which y'all didn't hear. And I was on the road too, Mom. Praise God. But I was sharing that I did not have a doing problem, which I don't think most of us do, but I was having a being problem about 5 or 6 years ago. And, that's super important because when you are used to living a life of survival, let me tell y'all this. I was living a life of survival even when the seasons had changed because I wasn't which wasn't calling attention to the new place that I was in. I was so used to doing. And I shared this story where I have a friend from church, a church I used to attend, and she would say to me, "You're the only person I know could be in North Philly at 1:30, be in Northeast Philly at 1:35, and then be back to Roxborough by 1:45." And for those who are in the Philadelphia area or familiar with Philadelphia, that's virtually impossible. But that's legitly what my life was like. I was going from place to place, meeting to meeting, and even scheduling meetings like that. And I was doing things that I didn't necessarily have to do anymore. What I was doing in my 30s, I didn't have to do. What I was doing in my 30s was no more applicable to what I had to do in my 20s after coming off of the childhood that I came off of. And so, I'm grateful for my training and my relationship with the Lord, who really, it was Holy Spirit who nudged me and was like, "Listen, I want to be with you." I don't want to catch you on the fly, and we had to talk through that in the language that I knew to talk through from where I come from. And it was like one of the pivotal times in my life. It was hard because anything that you are changing or transitioning from and that you have done for so long, making the change can be super hard. It requires some discipline and the like. But I'm so glad that it started me in this process of at least setting and inclining my ear to wanting to be in the moment, right? Be aware of what's happening in my life and what's happening around me. And I don't want to say that because in survival, your head is on a swivel. So I knew what was going on around me, but most importantly, I didn't know what was going on in me. And so I shared, I'm sure, and I ain't asking all y'all to come forth, but I'm sure the people that I interacted with back in the day, I probably messed some things up. And it wasn't because my heart is gold, right? My heart towards people has always been the same. The enemy might try to take some things from you, but at the core of who you are, there's just some things that cannot be erased. There's a mark that cannot be erased. And so I think, if people really told the truth, they would say, her heart was pure, right? But then there was some things that kept me in a flux because of this survival mode, and I did not have my finger on the pulse to really be able to dial it down or even address it. And so our guest today, our amazing guest today, is going to share help walk us through this, because as I'm walking in this place of liberty and freedom, friends don't do that alone. I want to bring you all in on that and pray that you receive the same liberty and peace and inner peace and inner settling that I have been able to achieve. And not that I've epitomized it, but it's now so a thing that the moment I feel incongruent with, on the inside of me, I'm able to stop, pause, and not try to pivot without healing or trying to build on top of trauma, or, no, I can sit for a moment, regroup, and go at it again. And so we have our resident expert here. She's going to tell us who she is and tell us a little bit about, who she is, what she does, and what makes her the experts of all experts to come and share with us and walk us through this space.
Oh, thank you so much, Terry, for inviting me to your podcast. I'm always humbled and honored and grateful. My name is Cynthia McKnight. I have 20 plus years in counseling and currently at the end of receiving my doctorate in temperament theory. We're going to talk about temperament. I'm also certified as a temperament counselor. It's an area that I love, and I believe it will help so many people soar. So we're going to get into really just dealing with that. How many of you know what a temperament is? I need you to just come and connect with me. How many of you know what the word means? What is a temperament? What is it? When you ask the average person, they don't have an answer. They was like, I don't know. I'm easygoing. Okay, that could be a part of your traits, but you really need to know where you land when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to control, when it comes to affection. So what is temperament? First of all, temperament, you were born with it. It was inborn. It was predetermined when you were born. How many of you mothers can remember when you had your children? Each child was different, right? Some children come out crying and they just keep crying. Then there's others who are very quiet.
Yes.
Those are traits. Those are temperaments, right? If you understand how vital temperaments are, it would have helped you with parenting. It would have helped you to identify the needs of your children. It will help married couples in marriages. It will help leaders in churches. Temperament will help people govern their lives so different. So what are the three areas that I focus on in this area of temperament? It's inclusion. How much a person needs to be around others. You need to know that your temperament will tell you. There's some people who have to be around people, and there's some people who want to be a loner. They want to be by themselves, and it doesn't make them a bad person. Then you have control, right? How dependent a person is on others in relationships. That's important, right? And then affection. How much love a person requires from others. All right. So you may have, I'm going to talk about marriage for a second. So you may be in a marriage and you wonder why your wife is not giving you that love and affection that you need, because most times her temperament only requires her a moderate amount of love and affection, so she doesn't release it. But if you knew that, you can help her help you, because you may require a great deal of love and affection. But the only way to get to the root of who and what you are and what makes you you is to get tested. All right, come on now, y'all. Y'all all go to the doctors to get your blood work, right? You want to know what your levels are, right? Because you want to make sure you're good. Well, when you come to me, I'm going to test you so I can know what your traits are, so I can help you be better. So that's what we do when it comes to temperament theory and when I'm counseling my clients, and I really enjoy what I do. So that's a little bit about temperament.
That's a lot about temperament.
It's
How do you unpack that? It is definitely a game changer, because I think one of the analogies I gave before we weren't live was, a coaching client, they may not be as successful as the space affords them, because the coach or their mentor is trying to get them to a place of self-sufficiency,
Mm-hmm.
but they are based on their temperament. um be it, I think they could fall in any of that: inclusion, control,
Mm-hmm.
or needing a level of attention in a
Affection.
different
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to cling to the coach, and the coach is like, I'm putting you in the game and I'm trying to throw the ball to you. Now go catch it so that you can make a play for the end zone. But
Mm-hmm.
they like, no, coach, I want to stay in the huddle with you
Right.
and
Right.
get some plays. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's critical, because that's the difference of, one, how many relationships that may be soured because you don't understand your assignment in the relationship, because you don't understand, or you and I don't understand our temperament, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And because of that, and when you're operating in your weaknesses or you're deficient, so there are five temperaments, right? So you have the melancholy, you have the choleric, you have the supine, you have the sanguine, and you have the phlegmatic. All right. So there's
Mhm,
five. It
mhm,
originally started out being four, but one was added many years ago. And what we do in looking at that, we pay attention to the patterns. So, for example, certain people who suffer with anxiety, depression, even low self esteem,
mhm,
most times they're in the area of a melancholy. They're more quiet. They don't say a lot.
mhm.
They're kind of reserved. They fear certain things. Um, but those types in their weaknesses can be dangerous, right? But
Yeah.
you don't know if you don't know the strengths and the weaknesses of different temperaments. So you may have a sanguine. Sanguines are easy to identify. I'm going to tell you why a sanguine is easy. They like to be the center of attention. You can always spot a sanguine. They want to wear the fanciest clothes. They want to be in the midst of everything. They love that, right? But their weaknesses, they can become a narcissist, right? They're self-absorbed. They don't really
Mm,
care about other people, even though they act like they do. So
my
once you
God.
identify these things, you're able to govern your life better and say, okay, now that makes sense. So you have a couple that gets married and they go through premarital. I believe everyone, before you say I do, couple of things you need to do. First, you need to fill out what I have is a questionnaire called a family of origin questionnaire. What is that? You need to know what's been in your family. You need to know the temperaments that's been around you to identify patterns in you. And I
My
have them
God.
fill out the questionnaire. And then you need to take the test. Every person that takes the test either cries or said, that's me, have to face themselves, but you can get better. So this is
Mhm.
why knowing your temperament, if you want to build wealth, you have to first know you. What makes you you before you can do anything else? Because if you don't know
Jesus.
that, if you don't know your strengths and your weaknesses, how do you expect to do anything well? Yes, people are building wealth, but you need to understand they still have weaknesses. I know people with money that's taking their lives. So it's more than just the wealth. And you know what? I was looking up wealth, and I love this definition. It says wealth implies a level of security and ongoing financial health. Now, it's a long term. It's like it's not something that's short term. It's long term
Sure.
accumulation of assets and resources. And when I
Hmm.
looked at that, I said, okay, everybody wants things fast, Terry.
Mm-mm.
Nobody want to work. Nobody want to know what makes them who they are. Nobody want to really work and understand you got to weigh this thing out. I
My
had
God.
to, it's so important if you're going to build you first, because you got to start there. To
You have
build
to.
wealth, you have to know the process, and it takes time to peel off all of this stuff that we carried around for all of these years. Many years from our family, our environment, our exposure. a mishandling of not only ourselves, but how others mishandled us. We got to deal
That's
with
right.
all of that. This is where I live. I am going to travel the whole world. I'm testing everybody because I know it's a game changer. I believe
Amen.
that this will help a person really discover their identity, but also soar in the things of God.
Amen. I mean, amen. That was just, I don't know. I feel like we supposed to drop the mic and exit stage right, but we still got some other things to cover. So I don't know if we're gonna do that right now. But um no, so just so much. One of the things I thought about when you were saying this long term, we share with people this, even in real estate, right? Real estate is the asset class that the Lord allowed me to choose to build wealth, and now in this space of awareness. It's like I was homeless at 16, and so now I go
Mm,
from, being homeless to owning homes is just amazing to me. And it's just the promise of abundant life that the
mm,
Lord has come to provide for us. And so that's amazing to me. But one of the things I share with clients and in general, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And you want it to be a marathon because you want to build strategically, solidly, smartly, and sustainably, right? And if you are just trying to get to the next dollar, you're going to stay in that space of survival versus building something that is lasting. We're not in the space to just build it. I don't let people say to me, "Oh, I want to be a flipper." What is that? Tell me,
What
what
is
is a flipper? Do you want to
right?
flip in the water? Do you want to flip in the gym? No, I know what they mean. They want to do a fix and flip, but this space affords you so much more than that. Don't tell me I just want to get a door. And I'm not knocking anybody. Let me be. I'm not trying to, come at anybody's neck, but I'm of the persuasion that what you say matters, right? And the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? And so if that's in your heart, that's limited talk to me. So you're
Right.
going to be limited in what you're able to achieve because you've already established an internal system that is limited, that responds limitly, right? And so we try to get out of that, but you want to be able to build and build, not just for today, but for tomorrow, because again, this is what the space of real estate investing affords you. So that was the first thought. The second thought
Yeah.
was like, man, how many of us, and I was thinking back to myself, based on not really knowing my temperament, and if I was melancholy or whatever I was, I probably burned some processes or some folks
Mhm.
that were involved in the process along the way because
Right.
I wasn't able to capacity wise deal with them, right? I'm
Mhm.
coming to learn capacity and ability are two separate things. And it seems like when you're talking about temperament, it is almost the fuel that enacts the ability or the act of moving, right? Or
Absolutely.
actually doing. Would you say that, Mom?
Absolutely, I would say that. And I try to have conversations with leaders. And I'm just going to talk about pastors for a second because
Okay.
even in churches, you may have a pastor that may not be strong when it comes to inclusion. He may
Mhm.
be more of a one-on-one person, right? He's not a person that wants to be around a crowd. So that's why it's vital when you identify your temperament, you can better select your team. The problem is
Mm.
when you don't identify your temperament, you may have the same temperaments on your team and there will be a clash. All right. So that's why it's important
I'm
because
throwing my shoe at you.
once you identify your temperament, you can strategize your team because, like, it's vital for like a choleric, they are great leaders. A phlegmatic is very creative and great. So once you identify yours, you will know your strengths, you'll know your weaknesses, but you also know the strengths of the other people on your team, and y'all all work
Mm-hmm.
hand in hand, and now the team protects you. So now instead of you revealing your weaknesses that will hurt and offend someone else, you will lean on your strengths or lean on the strengths of someone else, and you will govern yourselves different in your area. When you're deficient, you're going to know I got to lay back right now because I'm weak right here. And I don't want to mess
Wow.
up what I'm building because I'm building wealth. I don't want to mess up where I'm going because I'm working on something long term. You see the difference? But because we don't know that, we put anybody on the team and we're expecting to get a great team, and you don't even got the right starters. You ain't got the right
Come on,
people on
come
the
here,
team.
come through.
So, and
That's
we're
good.
wondering why we're not successful in certain areas because we haven't done the fundamental things, the basic things. What makes you you is the first step. Then you need to identify your temperament. Then you need to understand how to handle your weaknesses. And if you're a leader, you got to make sure you have the right team surrounding you to help you soar. And most people attract their own temperament, and that's why they have a mess on their hands. Because you don't need the same temperament all around you, because you're not going to get anything done, because everybody is looking for the exact same thing that they're deficient in.
Wow.
So it's those things that we have to, you know, listen, I tell people this. Yes, you're very great in what you do. You have phenomenal ideas. Like a certain temperament that has an issue with wanting to control everything. And if they have somebody else on that team is the same way, you got a problem on your hand,
Mm,
because it's gonna block some stuff you trying to move.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? So we got to deal with what's in us first before you can do anything else. And you got to be honest. You have some temperaments that won't deal with conflict. They won't deal with any issues. They won't deal with nothing. Absolutely nothing. They won't deal with it. You confront them, they're back away from it. But that's a weakness that they have. So you have to have somebody on your team that will deal with conflict, because they ain't going to deal with it. But if you don't have nobody on your team to deal with it, then you got conflict surrounding you. What you going to do with it?
man, I mean, so let's just go here. You got a soup kitchen, and you know, Jilly is trying to give chicken noodle soup, and Keisha is trying to give uh uh tomato based soup, and they are clashing over which soup they're going to offer, and in the end the people who are hungry won't eat.
There you have it. That's it right there. That's it. And it happens all the time. Companies need to shift. Churches need to shift.
My God.
Businesses need to shift. People need to mature. You got to first hit first base. That is, who are you and what makes you you? Y'all
Hmm.
missed that part.
Yes, we did, Mom. I'm raising my hand. Y'all can't see me.
So
I guess if you're
we, we
live
have
with me, I'm
we have
raising
to
my hand.
we have to deal with so much. And yeah, we have to deal with so much. And I know when we talk about temperament, I'm taking this class right now on father and daughter therapy, and the temperaments of a father and how their temperaments can affect their daughters. If they don't deal with or understand their temperaments, they can run their daughters away, right?
Hmm.
Because their daughters,
Hmm.
because they don't know their daughter may require such a level of love and affection. But if you are very not, don't care about that, all you want to do is go work, and you don't spend that time with your child, it affects your daughter. So there is most daughters out here today. I need everyone that is listening to me. I am standing in the gap to say I am sorry for
Hmm.
every father that did not show up for you, that did not understand you, that did not
Hmm.
spend time with you, that did not
Hmm.
realize who you were, was trying to make you out to be something that you wasn't. I stand
My
in the
God.
gap to apologize so you can free yourself and understand that you're everything that God has called for you to be. It's that important.
It's that important.
Yeah.
I feel like that requires a repeat. I think, sometimes we can miss it, but I think that's worthy of repeating. Do you mind repeating that again?
Oh, yeah. Just apologizing to every daughter. I am standing in the gap for every father that have mishandled you, that have mistreated you, that didn't spend time with you, that didn't connect to you, that didn't understand you. I am standing in the gap to say, I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
Because it has helped. There is a term called arrested development. And
Mm-hmm.
what that term means is that what happened to that child, to that daughter, when that father left the home, when that father stopped calling, when that father started criticizing, when that father was just not there, even the fathers that were present but not involved, it
Mm-mm-mm.
arrested their development.
My Lord, my Lord.
We got work to do. And this
Mm.
is the call that's on my life to help people soar and say, listen, I know you want the money, but before you get there, you have to understand who you are and you got to get around people. And if you haven't signed up for the summit, you got to sit in rooms. You got to get trained. You got to be around people that can educate you. You got to get counsel. You have to sit under people that can get you through what you've been through. And that's important for you. It's important.
People who can get you through what you've been through. So
People who can get you
just
through what
just
you've been
because of that reference, she referenced a summit. The summit is the Built to Last Summit. You can go to builttolastsummit.com. It's being held in Philadelphia at the Courtyard Marriott City Line Avenue. And just if you're listening to this, we are offering you a discount on your ticket. You can put in Summit 100 for your VIP ticket or your general admissions ticket. And, thank you for reminding us that even for us as believers, sometimes we say that we're waiting on God, but God is waiting on us. We are his hands and legs in the earth, and he has given us everything we need pertaining to life and godliness. And this is where the word says in James, our faith without our works is dead. If you show me your works, that's showing me your faith. And
through.
so you want to get in these rooms so that you can be able to develop personally and financially. I believe Jesus wasn't broke, and neither should we be.
Right.
And so, thank you for sharing that. And it reminded me of what you were saying about just even how we engage with one another.
Mhm.
And, what I want to say though, if you are that person who maybe you've already started building wealth, or you've already started moving from this place of barely enough to more than enough, and you have positive cash flow and all of that. The way it ended up happening with me is I believe I went the way that I went so that was my story,
Mhm.
that I could have the resources and the time to be able to sit and to pour into personal development. And so if you have done it out of order, right? Because, we don't want you to be in a spirit of condemnation because of that. Because, even, believer or not, but anytime that you hear the word, you have an opportunity to be converted into the word that you hear, you see, or you feel. And so whatever you was being said today, you still have an opportunity to make the necessary adjustment so that your latter days can be better than your former days. And so, you might be saying like, oh, I did it out of order. Just start right where you
Exactly.
are. Start
Start from
today.
where you are. Mhm.
And so, Mom, do you want to speak to, starting today? What would someone do today to start addressing this area that may have gone untapped or unnurtured or underdeveloped?
Yeah, you start from where you are. I think, so many times we try to go back and kind of relive what's already done. I think if you stay current in life, you will grow and your future will be better. I always teach my clients this is to always stay current in your day and you will never lose your day. It's only
Hmm.
when you carry your past in your day that you keep living.
Hmm.
So
Listen,
it's
that's another, how they say that's a writer downer. That's another repeater eater or whatever you want to say. Can you
so
say it again for the
it's
people in
just
the back?
you just have to stay current in your day, and I think that's the problem. And so many of us we carry our past around. So just
Hmm.
stay current in your day so that you can really enjoy your day instead of allowing your past into your day that keeps you living your past every day. All right. It's just
Hmm.
that simple. So if we do that, it will help us. And I just believe that if you take some time to invest in your life, if you take some time, the lenses that I look through now is so different. And I always tell people you're either going to stay immature or you're going to be maturing or you're going to be a lot more seasoned. How do you get there? Number one, you get to the summit. Get to the summit. Let me tell you why. I'll be at the summit. I'll be there. You have an opportunity. You want to grab me up and have some questions? I'll be there to help you. But get to the summit. Why? Because you're going to learn. It's going to help you mature so that you can do things the right way. It's that
Hmm.
important, right? And not only do you come, you invite others to come. You get on that phone and you become the marketing representative for this summit. I need all of you that is watching right now, do me a favor, join with us. If what I've said thus far has helped you or opened you up, this is a reason for you to invest in it. So
Yeah.
make sure you make your way there. All right?
That's good. That's good. I can't wait to get to the summit myself. I'm going to be one of the speakers as well. So I'm super excited. But it reminded me something that we hear, in the streets, in these streets, that your net worth equals your network, or your network equals your net worth. And
Yeah.
that is sort of what you're saying. If you want to build your net worth, if you want to level up, right? You're going to have to get in a community that's going to speak to where you want to go, right? One of the things I struggle with, and, just to be fully transparent, once I, got that nudge that I mentioned, and I don't know if it was here or when we did not, when we weren't going live, the Lord started ministering to me about my finances and how, and I'm going to try to tread as lightly as possible because I don't want to seem to be pointing a finger or demoralizing anyone or making them feel bad or bringing any shame. But I started finding something wrong with having to believe for, people, we're praying for people every month to be able to pay their rent or pay their mortgage. Now we understand that's a reality for some people. But at
Mhm.
some point, when does that change? And if we're talking about this Lord of all lords, King of all kings, this God who owns everything, creator of all things, who called us to dominate, subdue, be fruitful, and multiply, who's calling us not to own no man, but to love him, who wants us, and that was like, that hit me because it made sense. It's hard to love people if you owe them, right? Like you ducking them, and it does something internally. But it changed my internal system and belief around what I was praying about. And, I'm like, God, if you give us our daily bread, housing are basic necessities. Why aren't we having that? If it's give us this day our daily bread, that's a given, it's a part of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Then what is happening? Why are we here? And it was a process that he took me through, but I couldn't share it with anyone, even in the church. Um, let me correct that. I shared it with a group of my friends, and they stopped. Two of them stopped talking to me. And I was just recently having a conversation with one of those friends because I wanted to kind of understand. I knew where I was going. I ain't want to be poor no more. I I wanted to be able to represent this God in a different way that I serve. I wanted to be able to give more liberally, spend more time with my family. I wanted to do whatever I could to, help advance the kingdom. And so I kept, I followed that path, and I wasn't going to get off that path. But so I didn't let them not speaking to me bother me. But as I'm, in present day, I asked what was wrong, and she mentioned, her feedback was that there was a jealousy of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you were like me, where what do you do when you can't talk to people in your church or your family members about what God is calling you to? You have a yearning and a desire to level up. You get in communities that speak to where you are and where you want to be, because you don't want to live a life that's incongruent with where it is internally you want to be. That is miserable. It's inner turmoil associated with that. And so I thank you for sharing that, because
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to step outside of your community, level up yourself, and then go back and get the people.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're loving your neighbor as yourself, right? Oftentimes we're trying to love people out of a empty well, right? We're trying to love them out of what we don't have, because we haven't loved ourselves. And Mom, if I hear you correctly, a part of this spending time here and prioritizing this awareness of your temperament is self-love.
It really is. And it's something else I want to add to what you're saying, because when I was a lot younger, and I like to share this story, I realized something is where I would spend my money determine whether or not my money will grow or be good
Mm,
for.
mm,
And now the issue is there are a lot of people that say they're struggling their rent, but they're spending their money in other areas that I consider non-essential.
mm,
Until I grew up and mature, and I understood now that put my money where it makes money. It's a difference.
mhm,
All right, that's
mhm,
maturity. That's wealth thinking.
mhm,
Remember, you're either going to be immature, you're going to keep doing what you're doing, and you keep following what you're doing. And this, listen, but if you get around, if you get in the right environment, if you get the teaching, if you get the tools, you will change some things in life, right? So now I move my money where it makes money, and here it is. Here's my wealth mentality. It's long
mhm,
term. It's not money I get right away, but it's money
mhm.
that I know will be available to me, right?
That's
Smart
good.
move. So that's the thing. So instead of putting money and buying non-essential things or buying books and shoes and clothes, and there's nothing wrong with these things. I need everybody to hear me. But at the end of the day, if it's not making you money, then what? So if you put your money where you make money, then you'll be a lot wiser, and you'll be able to have a legacy, not only to help and collaborate with people, but it'll be a game changer for your life and for your family. So that's what, and I keep going back to the summit because it's in my heart to talk about,
Mhm,
because I see that a lot of people, number one, they don't read. It's a terrible thing. They don't read enough. They're not in
mhm.
the right environments, and they're comfortable. Listen, your job will never make you wealthy. I don't
That's
care
right.
how many years you've been working there. I'm telling
That's
you,
right.
you will never become wealthy from your job. They
That's
will.
right.
Your
That's
owners
true.
are wealthy, but you
Mm-hmm.
would never become
That's right.
wealthy. So I
That's
just
so
want to
good.
set the record straight. I
Mm-hmm.
tell some of my clients, and I tell them, I said, go get an LLC. I don't care. Sell boots, sell shoes, sell ink pens, do something. Move your money so that you can have a better position in life. And I don't know. I think, Terry, I really think that people think that they're okay where they are, but if you knew that there was more behind the door, if you
More
knew that there was
behind the
more
door.
behind the door, and I
Mom,
think
I
that's the
think
problem. They
mm,
don't know
mm,
that it's so much more, but they
mm,
never get to the door to open it
mm,
because
mm,
they
mm,
complain. They make excuses. Oh, that's too much. No, it's not too much. It's an investment. You will always reap from the investment you sow. It's
mm,
not too much. It's not too much.
mm. It's
It's
not
not
too
too much.
much.
It's an
It's
investment.
it's it's only too much if you don't understand. And I was talking earlier about being, right? Um, if you only using money or understand money as something to pay your bills and you're not able to look at it as a tool that you can leverage to make more,
Mm-hmm.
then you won't understand. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think as you keep bringing up the summit, that's really where we want to get people,
Mm-hmm.
right, to be in this place of a growth mindset, where you can, it's okay if you didn't know, but you need to know, right?
Yes.
Because your life depends on it. And I say that, and I mean that wholeheartedly. There are a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of illnesses and sicknesses. There are people who are, struggling to find work. There are, folks who are barely making enough. I shared, and I've been sharing, I don't believe that the people of God are supposed to participate in inflation or recessions.
Absolutely.
In fact, if you are able to get into a space, as Mom mentioned, that, you're doing a lot of things in this space. Yes, and there are times based on what strategy you can use to make
Mm-hmm.
money now, but you're also preparing for later. And so what do I mean? Just in the context of what we're talking about, you can get a rental property, and if you have a rental property and inflation or recession is happening, guess what happens? Because of the cost of living is going up everywhere, it goes up for you. So your rents with your tenants can go up. And we don't believe in unfair burdens and unfair taxing and unfair
Mm-hmm.
increases. We believe in fair increases, right? But that's an example of how,
Mm-hmm.
if you use your money when you have it as a tool to make money, and more specifically in this area of real estate investing, where you don't have to participate in a recession or
Right.
or inflation, because you're winning during those times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that we want to move from. And this may be a strong word, and I hope and pray I don't offend anyone, from a poor mentality or mindset to more of a growth mindset, right? It'll help you move the needle. And here's the reality, even with money coming in, and having positive cash flow, in some places, I still had a poverty mindset because I did not shift the understanding, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
these spaces that, like the summit, that Mom is talking about, you want to get there,
You want
so
to get
that you can position yourself,
there.
to grow, right, and
Mm-hmm.
to change and get a different perspective. I say this, and then Mom, if you want to take it and build on it. I think about when Jesus was passing by from town to town. There are some people who got there because they heard the man was going to be there, and they
Mm-hmm.
did whatever they needed to do to get where that he was going to be, right? Because they believed that he had the answer that would provide change or turn their situation around, relieve
Mhm.
them of pain that they might have been experiencing, whatever it was, right? They believed that he had the answer. And so they did whatever it took to get into the space that he was in. And I'm reminded of the woman with the issue of blood. Even while she was in the press, he stopped for another man just to speak a word to somebody else, whose daughter was sick with the palsy. And those miracles and those things happen in one setting, right? Like, and so what that says to me, you just don't know the possibilities until you get there. Mom said, you gotta prioritize, and we want to
Yeah.
get a hunger and a thirst and a craving and a desire for more behind the door. Another example of this is some people were healed as they went. Sometimes in order to get the door to open, you got to walk up to the door and turn the knob.
That's
But if
right.
you don't walk up to the door can't open for you. And so it's important that you get into these spaces, you understand what mom said about where you are, who you are, what do you want, and what are some of the things that can prevent you from getting what you want. And that can be a lack of understanding, because whereas you have it right in front of you, you may squander the opportunity because you don't understand what you and I won't understand, don't understand what our temperament is as we encounter others.
Yeah. That is so good. No, that is really good. And it's the truth. And even there's so many areas. I'm just anchoring down on temperament because I know you had other things we wanted to talk about,
You
unforgiveness, all of
you
these
can have
things.
it, mom. You can jump.
Are
Did you
All right,
got
so
it?
all of these things play a part when it comes to generating and building wealth. So we talked about the temperament. Really, what makes you you is very important. But also, we got to deal with this unforgiveness too. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because it's hindering us, it's draining us, right? It's consuming us mentally. So, guess what it's doing? It's blocking the building. See, unforgiveness blocks building. It really
Mm.
does. And that's why so many are hindered in so many areas in their lives because they're held hostage to this place of unforgiveness. Right?
Wow.
So now if we're going to get to this next place, if we're going to really soar and grow, and if we're going to build properly, I need you to understand you stop building when you're walking in unforgiveness. And hear
Mm.
me, there is always a root word in a word. And if you ever look at the word forgiveness, you're going to see give, right? So unforgiveness stops you from giving
Mm.
because you cannot give your full self when you are drained and offended. Hear me? You can't. So guess what it's doing? It's blocking you from building and from giving. It's blocking you from doing that. So that's important. So we got to deal with unresolved conflict, right? We got to deal with the ego that most of us have. We're not letting things go. Some of my clients, I do this exercise and I'm sharing this with everyone that's listening. I tell my clients, I said, do me a favor. I said, I need you to understand if I don't give you something to give you to do, and the reason why I'm giving you something to do so that you can let it go, so that you can now give back to others and you won't be hindered.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
what I do with my clients, I said, I'm giving you an assignment to go get a balloon. I need you to write down everyone that you are still walking in unforgiveness. I need you to let it go. I need you to video it for me and send it to me because as long as it's in sight, I'll let you hold it. Because when you released it, you said, I am no longer carrying this weight.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So now you can give yourself fully to others because you're walking in a free place. This is why a lot of people are stuck because you can't build when you don't forgive.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get that. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And when there's no closure, there's no growth.
No closure, no growth.
Mm-mm.
No
It's no
closure,
growth.
no growth.
You gotta get closure. It's no
No
growth.
closure, no growth.
Because it will prevent you from proper healing. When you walk in unforgiveness, it prevents you from proper healing. That's why the Bible is clear. And here's what I don't think people, I need to make sure they can hear me. He said, if you don't forgive them, he will not forgive you. Now, hold tight, y'all. I need building to continue. I need forgiveness for what I do daily to be received.
My.
In a world where I allow an offense or a person that has drained me for all of these years to keep training me, to stop me from building what God has set before me, let it go. Just let it go. Because it's an emotional holding pattern. I always tell people it's like this. When that plane cannot land because they're waiting for the runway to clear, they have a holding pattern.
My God.
It can't land. You're not going to land until you get out of this unforgiveness, the holding pattern.
Can you repeat the exercise? So wait, let me just tell you. One day, and I know you guys hear me referencing Pastor Cynthia McKnight as mom. She's my spiritual mom. For those who like, Terry, I know you. That ain't your mom. That's my spiritual mom. And I was in this place, and one thing I love about this work, and I love about this work with God, right? Doing it with God, and how, he allows us to use all these natural things that he created, and then add his supernatural to allow us to just thrive in a whole different way, right? I know right now you're on cloud nine, and maybe you'll share that with the people before we end. But when you're in this place, you alluded to it earlier. You're either seasoned, or you're maturing, or it's this, you're evolving. We're all evolving, and no one has epitomized nothing. I mean, it's like, no one is the epitome of anything, in my opinion, because, as you age, as times and seasons change, sometimes you come upon something new. But in this place of evolution, and I'm grateful, as I mentioned earlier, that the awareness is there. She and I were talking one day, and I was in a place that I no doubt believed that the Lord had me. I mean, it was hard, y'all. I didn't even understand it. Now, anybody who know me, one of the gifts and talents the Lord has given me is, reasonability and logic. I can deduce a lot from different things. And I couldn't do it. I didn't know what was happening, why it was happening. And she told me, go and get a balloon. I'm like, and I'm crying, yo. I'm crying. I'm, barely moving. I couldn't walk. It was something, but I am so glad I went through that, because now my gifting is different. My relationship with the Lord is different. I mean, all of that, right? But anyway, and so I'm like, ma'am, I don't want a balloon, and I don't want to write nobody nothing down. I just want to be relieved of the pain, or, I want to have the ease in this. I want to be able to make sense of it. I want to be able to understand it. I want to be able to move the way that I'm accustomed to moving. And you telling me to go get a balloon, and write it down. But it was on that day, I had an ear to hear her say that to me, that the first time she said it wasn't hitting. But then the second time, within a minute, it hit. was able to do that, practically do that. And it set I think, and you notice, I think from that place, it caused me to take action from a different place. It caused me to have a different perspective. So that thing is real. I mean, this is how you liberate your soul. This is how you get free, right? And so, Mom, can you just share that practical tip again? What can someone do, or what should they do to get this level of freedom and liberty that you were just talking about, that release?
Yeah, when it comes to, remember the root word, when you look at forgiveness and unforgiveness, the give is in the middle. So I have to give you something for you. And by telling you, I'm giving you something, information, right? But also you have to release something. You have to give away something to free you, right? It's to free you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you get a balloon, whoever that person or persons that have hurt you, that have caused you pain, that you've been drained, that you don't have closure on, you write their names on it. You stand in the middle of an empty space, and I'm telling you all types of emotions. If I could share some of the videos that I had, people crying. I said, look, watch it until it gets out of your view. And that's when your freedom is alive. And now you can give to others so that you can continue your building. Because until then, you have blocked your building, but also you're affecting your health. And that's the side that I also need to share. Unforgiveness will affect your health. It will.
Mm-hmm.
Your mental, your emotional. Some people get high blood pressure because they're still carrying it. Listen, y'all, let it go. Do the exercise. Try it. Video it. Send it to me. I would love to see it. Share your story. I would love to hear it. But do it. It will help.
Yeah, and I think that's just wonderful that you shared that, because sometimes we can look at these things as so abstract, right? And you know, I've done it where someone have told me to forgive something, and I've told you guys that I do reasoning and deduction, so it filters through that first, and I'm like, you want me to do what? Like that don't even sound right, based on what they did or whatever. But these are some of the tools that we have at our disposal, that even when something seems extremely hard, that we can do something so simple to get the relief that we need. And as you mentioned, to not just relieve us temporarily in the moment, but to also provide some healing in all of the other areas of our lives. So listen, please, if that is you, if you feel like this, right? Or if I don't know if I could say this on air, but if your panties always feel like they're in a bunch, or you always clutching your pearls over something, right? Chances are that there's some unforgiveness there. And here is something that the good woman has offered to help provide that relief to you. So use it, use it, use it, use it.
Yeah.
Use it. I'm
Mm.
telling you, use it. Mom, is there anything else that you want to share? Anything that, and I love how you were given the analogy of building, and, and the blockages, it's like, if you don't excavate, which is what you're talking about, if you don't, I'm just getting ready to say break up the fallow ground, but they
Mm.
probably like, man, what is the fallow ground? But like, if you don't break that up, which this is to me symbolic of actually doing that, right? Like then it's gonna be hard to you wouldn't want to pour any concrete on that, because you're cementing what's not good for you.
Exactly.
um you're almost trying to build in a way that's not going to be stable, and it's going to come crumbling in the end, because it's not a firm foundation. And so it would be extremely hard to try to build, and we do it. I've done it, right? And in the end, if you've ever said, I've been here before, or why does the same thing keep happening? Or why can't I make gains in this area? I know what to do. I know what I should be doing. You know, let's go back and look at the man or woman in the mirror and start this process by which has been shared with us today. So, Mom, just as a recap for the people, do you want to give them a recap and then give us some closing words?
Just basically, you want to know, what makes you you. You want to really go through that process of knowing your temperament, understanding that wealth is long term. It's not something that you move fast on. It has a marathon pace to it. Also realizing unforgiveness is dangerous. It drains you, and how important it is for you to forgive. Making sure that you get into the right spaces and places, training, summits, coaching, reading books, all of those things are going to be vital for you. And when it comes to this place of forgiveness, it's a place of letting it go. It's a place of allowing yourself to heal so that you can have proper growth and so that you can build. And if anyone ever want to get in contact with me, again, my name is Cynthia McKnight. My company is Temperament Harmony. You can reach me via email at cynthia@temperamentharmony.com. My 1-800 number, it's actually 1-888-685-1286. If you ever want to call, you have any questions, you want me to help you, I'm here there. I'm here for you. I'm on Facebook. Not really, but I'm on there. I've been on Facebook for a long time because I think sometimes we miss life by living through others. And
Mm.
you have to come back on strategically and have somebody govern that for you. I'm on Instagram at cynthia.speak. So if they need any more information, you can always get information from my spiritual daughter. Again, Terry, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. This was phenomenal. I'm excited about what's next for you, and I'm so proud to be your spiritual.
Oh, I'm getting ready to cry. Can I just cry for a minute? No, like that is you gotta breathe. I told you all, we may laugh, we may cry, we may joke, but at the end, we want to talk you into and talk about a life that is not filled with struggle, strain, and survival, but a life that's filled with thriving and living and just being in every area of your life. And that is our heart. That is the heart of this podcast. And so it's okay if I cry. I'm a daughter. I'm supposed to cry. But Mom, thank you. Again, we're gonna be. I get to be. I mean, y'all see this. Y'all hear this a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and just love that is, just pouring out of her. You don't want to pass up the opportunity to build you while you build wealth. And so get in the room with us. I get to get on a stage with her. I mean, I'm super blessed, y'all, that I get to share a stage with this wonderful woman of God. But get in the room with us. It'll be September the 27th through the 28th. It is the Built to Last Summit. You can go to builttolastsummit.com. And because you spent time with us today, we are giving you $100 off your VIP or your general admissions ticket. What they say, relationships have perks or benefits. So because she loves me, she's giving you all a benefit to get in the room. That's how much she wants you to be there, and that I would love for you to be there as well. I promise, and I believe that your life will never be the same. The life for you and your family, and you can definitely change the trajectory of your life at any time. That's the blessing I believe in life. If you don't like something, change it. Get in the room, get access to the things that you need, and change it. And so join us September the 27th through the 28th. It's the Built to Last Summit.com. And go and grab your ticket. I gave you the discount code. It is Summit 100 for $100 off. And let me just say this: general admission is going to be fire, but you also want to tap into the VIP. You'll be in the room with her, and be in the room with her and other of our keynote speakers, where you can ask your one-on-one questions. There will be a comedy show. You'll learn if you know how to either start your real estate journey or scale your real estate investing journey. There'll be some pre-trainings. You'll have access to, potentially buying a business. And we talk about business a lot in building, because businesses have valuations. It could be a part of your retirement plan. I was able to retire my 9 to 5 by the grace of God because I had businesses, and I had those businesses running in a certain manner that can pay me and pay me more than my 9 to 5. I heard mom say earlier that, our 9 to 5s aren't designed, or they're not for us to build wealth. And I say they're not designed that way. And it's no harm, no foul, right? But it just was never designed to do that for us. And so you have to position yourself to do it for yourself. And God has given us all the gifts and talents and abilities to be able to do that. And you can. And so, with the VIP, you wanna get in, you wanna level it up. You wanna level up your ticket. You'll be able to buy an already established business, right? That's already profitable. That's the real flex. We're trying to move from exchanging time from time with money, time from money, right? That is enslavement, imprisonment. But we gonna say that for another day. But you want to get out of that rut, out of that rat race. You want to get out of, having to kind of live from check to check, and position yourself not only for today, but for tomorrow as well. I don't believe we should be working to quote unquote retirement age. Who told us that we had to do that? Sometimes, you can get there and not be in the best of health because you done worked until you got there. And then you get there, and one, you don't have enough money. They already talking about cutting Social Security. And don't make me go on my soapbox, right? That you may already be in debt because you didn't have a debt relief plan, or a income sufficient proof plan that can cover expenses that are increasing every year, and then cap that with sicknesses and illnesses that you can barely move. That's not the life that we're going after. We're going after a life where we can live and thrive every day of our lives, right? And so we want to be able to put you in a position to do that, and getting your VIP ticket will give you an opportunity to tap into that and so much more. You can go to the site, and but that's just a few of the things that you will get with your VIP ticket. So, Mom, I'm going to give you the last word. I think I'm not sure if I asked you to do that or not, but maybe we already did that. But I'm just so enjoying you. I don't even want you to leave. But can you just take the mic, and then we're going to drop the mic after you share your closing word?
I'm grateful. I think that this was really phenomenal, and I get an opportunity to be with my daughter. And so that's always great. And I'm so proud of what God is doing in you and through you. And I'm grateful for the vision that He's giving you to move forward in this summit. And I'm just really being prayerful for everyone that's on, that you take this life seriously, that you understand that God loves you and He sees you and He desires the best for you. And that's very important. And so until the next time you invite me on the show, I'm grateful to be on here. But I love you so much. And I pray that everyone just enjoy the rest of their time and share this podcast with other people. You never know how it can touch them and change their lives. And y'all spread the word, and let's get to that summit. I can't wait to meet you. Y'all enjoy yourself.
That's good. That's good. Okay, since you said it, you can go to Terry Talks Official on YouTube, and you can find the podcast wherever you find or whatever platforms you use to listen to podcasts. But you can also find the full interview and our time together at Terry Talks Official on YouTube. All right. Well, with that, bye for now. God
Bye.
bless you.